specks on a map, but the industry is expected to grow by 50 times over the next 3 decades. And won't that have severe negative consequences?
Olá pessoal, bem-vindos a mais um vídeo nesse canal. Nós somos cidadãos do terceiro mundo e nesse canal nós reagimos ao primeiro mundo. Nesse vídeo a gente vai reagir a "Você não acredita no que a Dinamarca está fazendo aqui".
Então pedimos que, por favor, você considere se inscrever, ative as notificações e também deixe mais sugestões para mais vídeos como esse lá no nosso Instagram. E agora vamos para a reação.
Denmark has a proud history of harnessing the wind to generate power. The modern 3-blade wind turbines were designed by the Danes, and they were the first to build an offshore wind farm. Today, over half their energy demand is covered by wind power, by far the largest in Europe. And they are looking to expand offshore.
Wow.
These are all the wind farms that are currently in production. These are being built, and these are approved. But now, hold on tight. All these are in the planning stage and are likely to be developed next. Wind power is expected to become Europe's main source of energy, and Denmark wants to produce so much that it can export to other countries. And they are investing billions on the construction of 2 artificial islands to serve as energy hubs. But wasn't nuclear supposed to be a better option?
Nossa, eu preciso comentar que é incrível o que eles estão fazendo, porque o nosso país ele está numa boa posição em relação à energia eólica, porém a gente nem se fala disso aqui. Então é incrível ver como a Dinamarca tem essa oportunidade e simplesmente agarra ela. Enquanto isso, a gente poderia estar fazendo a mesma coisa e simplesmente não acontece.
Sim, é verdade, mas uma coisa que chamou minha atenção, que é a forma como eles estão construindo esses grandes redemoinhos para gerar energia através do vento. E eles constroem eles fazem essas grandes construções no mar. Isso chamou muito a minha atenção, porque em nosso país a gente faz, não é no mar, é perto da casa de pessoas. E as pessoas reclamam que faz um barulho muito alto.
Don't wind turbines kill birds? Don't they disrupt marine ecosystems? I found one report that calculated that the wind industry is costing Denmark $270 million per year, and those tens of thousands of jobs it supposedly created was simply a shift from the non-subsidized sectors to the subsidized sector. Offshore energy is one of the most expensive sources of electricity, and the Danes are already paying amongst the highest prices in the EU. It sounds like something doesn't add up, but be careful. This report was actually financed by the American oil and gas lobby and is now widely discredited. With so much misinformation circling around in the mainstream media, let's see where we stand on whether it's good or bad that the oceans will become massive wind farms with hindsight. In the beginning of the 20th century, wind power was already widely used around the world, primarily in remote places where energy distribution systems had not yet been installed. Wind turbines generated electricity that was typically used for lighting and charging batteries, but the industry was in decline after more and more farms were connected to the grid. But in the early 1970s, the industry would change for good. Denmark became a haven for hippies, with the neighborhood of Christiania in Copenhagen at its heart. In the neighboring island of Funen, at a state school, a young teacher was fired because he refused to cut his long hair. He was popular and good-looking, and he managed to collect a group of 40 followers to open a school for troubled youth. They started in a small community on the North Sea, but his approach to teaching was widely ridiculed. Students had to build their own houses, and they engaged in long philosophical group discussions. Nearby residents accused them of being a cult. But at some point, they decided to build a wind turbine, and the result was this monstrosity. But the ridicule turned to praise, as this turbine was not just the largest in the world, it was widely recognized as the best design on the market. And so, the Danish model was born. His work built on decades of Danish.
Pelo que eu estou entendendo, a informação que está sendo passada no vídeo é de que quem criou isso foram os dinamarqueses?
Eu não tinha ideia disso. E, tipo, foi aquele cara que criou algo assim super, super revolucionário. Meu Deus, isso é surpreendente, porque, tipo, ele criou algo assim. Ele era engenheiro, algo do tipo. Incrível.
Engineering, from the earlier models of Paul Lacour, which resembled Dutch windmills, to the Getzer turbine with 3 blades. But this was on a new level, and it came at a time where there was a growing desire for clean and renewable energy. Danish companies were soon building wind turbines to export around the world, and in the 1980s, they became the market leader. In 1991, they built the first offshore wind farm, and the smaller companies merged into a giant, Vestas, which produced a third of global wind turbines by the early 2000s. Vestas today is good for 16% of global wind turbine production, primarily due to increasing competition from China, but they are still the world's largest, followed by Siemens Gamesa, which acquired some of its expertise through the acquisitions of Danish companies like Bonus Energy, who provided the windmills for that first offshore wind farm. And they have headquartered their offshore business in Denmark. So, Danish engineers are recognized as some of the industry's visionaries. But the story of that alternative school ended badly. They continued building dozens of such schools around the world, but its executives used this network to steal money from charities on a large scale. The school's founder is now on the run and is believed to be hiding in Mexico. With or without him, Denmark is moving on, and this is their vision. Offshore wind production has the capability to provide 80% of Europe's total energy consumption, and most of this potential lies in Northern Europe, where the waters are shallow and there's a lot of wind. Denmark lies at the center of this action, and they have Germany, by far the largest consumer in the EU, at a stone's throw away. Most wind energy is generated by onshore wind turbines, but offshore has a far greater potential. Ocean winds are stronger, faster, and more stable, and far larger wind turbines can be built on the water. In the mid-1990s, the largest wind turbine was about the size of the Statue of Liberty, but only 10 years later, they were already the size of the London Eye. By 2015, the biggest wind turbine was as tall as the Gherkin Tower in London. Imagine that the next time you see the London skyline. But today, a Chinese company is finishing construction of a wind turbine the size of the Eiffel Tower. This is the future of offshore wind.
É fascinante, porque eles vão... É isso que você falou, enquanto eles constroem no mar, que a gente está construindo num lugar nada a ver, e eles estão fazendo isso, e é uma coisa que é muito mais difícil, né? Porque imagina, você vai ter que instalar isso dentro da água. Então, realmente é um trabalho, mas é incrível como eles provavelmente fizeram algum estudo e viram que essa localização deve ser melhor para isso, e eles não vão poupar esforços para fazer o melhor, né?
Windmills the size of skyscrapers, and Europe is leading the industry. Of the 20 largest offshore wind farms, 12 are in the UK, 4 are in the Netherlands, 1 is in Denmark, and 1 is in Germany. Only one of them is outside of Europe in Taiwan. Those massive wind farms still look like specks on a map, but the industry is expected to grow by 50 times over the next 3 decades. And won't that have severe negative consequences? You often hear that argument that wind turbines kill birds, but the truth is that most of our knowledge is about turbines that are on land. There are some studies that show how offshore wind farms affect migration patterns of birds, which means that birds need to consume more energy that they would have otherwise spent on breeding. Other studies have shown that bird populations drastically decreased in the vicinity of these wind farms, but there are also studies that show how bird fatalities can be reduced. The truth is that we don't yet fully understand how offshore wind farms will affect bird populations, but it's probably not a good thing. Another major concern is that while constructing these wind farms, massive piles are driven into the seabed, and the sound this generates travels for thousands of kilometers. This causes irreparable hearing damage in whales, dolphins, and other sea mammals. Just imagine if all these areas turned into construction zones and the already busy North Sea traffic is forced into even smaller channels. That would turn the underwater experience into a nightmare of loud noises. On top of that, they are often built in shallow waters, which is exactly where fish like to mate and where fishermen like to fish. But this is, again, where researchers disagree. Some studies project that this will have a positive effect on fish populations because these wind farms can provide shelter. The turbine foundation could act as an artificial reef, attracting fish and predators and providing safety from fishermen, while other studies show that fish might choose to mate in less favorable conditions, causing a decline of fish stock. Either way, fishermen are screwed.
É muito curioso porque eles fazem um estudo da possibilidade de implementar energia eólica, mas não é apenas isso, eles também fazem um estudo para ver os
Ambiental, né?
Sim, eles fazem um estudo ambiental e eles tentam ver os prós e os contras no desenvolvimento em relação à energia eólica. E a gente percebe que é investido estudo para poder fazer o cálculo e o que pode melhorar, o que pode corrigir, o que pode evitar ser feito para não causar desequilíbrio ambiental. E eu acho impressionante como eles se preocupam com isso.
É verdade. Aqui em nosso país a gente falta muito disso, porque muitas vezes é feito algum projeto público e simplesmente depois eles veem que, na verdade, não deveria ser feito naquele lugar ou vai afetar de alguma forma negativa e simplesmente mais dinheiro que é gasto, né? Então, assim, aqui a gente vê que é feito em estudo. Em países de primeiro mundo essas coisas acontecem, né? A gente deve aprender com isso.
It is true that offshore wind is twice as expensive as onshore wind, and over 3 times as expensive as power produced by natural gas. It is also true that Denmark pays relatively high prices for electricity, partly due to high taxes, but also because they're dependent on the weather. Just look at this chart. By the end of the decade, the difference between a favorable weather year and an unfavorable weather year would result in a nearly 3 times increase of electricity prices. The wind industry is still struggling to be profitable, and 99% of raw materials for wind turbines are sourced from outside the EU. The EU might reduce their reliance on Russia, but they will increase their reliance on China. Another major issue is that Europe's energy grids are not ready for offshore wind, and we simply have no way to store this electricity. The largest battery in the world, which is located in the desert of California, has the capacity to store the energy need of Denmark for 1 hour. And that's where Denmark's artificial islands can come in to help. These energy islands on either side of the country serve as distribution hubs. They allow offshore wind farms to be placed further out at sea, and they distribute wind power to the region that needs it the most. If you combine wind power with other sources of electricity and you distribute them intelligently across a larger region, you can reduce the impact that weather conditions have on electricity prices. Belgium already started construction on the world's first energy island, and Denmark's will be the first, second, and third. Offshore wind power is still in its infancy, and with every passing year, it is becoming cheaper, faster, and better. But there still exist a lot of problems and a lot of research is still needed. But Denmark and the EU are confident enough to expect a 10-fold increase of offshore electricity generation over the next couple of years. So I hope you enjoyed this video about some of the pros and the cons of offshore wind energy, and I learned a lot of things. I think I was very biased against wind energy. When I just started researching this, I thought I was setting out on a debunking the wind energy scam kind of video, but I think the biggest thing that I learned is that it's an industry that's really just starting right now. And we have no idea where it's going to be in 10 or 20 or 30 years. Whatever you judge wind energy on right now, it's not going to be the same in a couple of years. So a lot of research is needed and a lot of developments are happening very, very fast.
Uau, incrível! Eu tô realmente surpreso porque ele traz uma informação no final desse vídeo. Ele diz que a Europa está planejando implementar isso a curto prazo. Então, o mais rápido possível, eles querem implementar essa energia offshore que ele menciona, que seria energia eólica. Isso realmente é muito benéfico, inclusive em termos de questões ecológicas.
É verdade, mas ao mesmo tempo é preocupante, porque você vê que isso na Europa é uma coisa que, embora eles queiram desenvolver a curto prazo, é uma coisa que ainda está em andamento lá. E a gente sabe muito bem que em nosso país as coisas demoram a chegar, né? Então, se um continente com países super desenvolvidos como a Europa está assim, imagine quando vai chegar isso aqui em nosso país. Então, realmente é muito preocupante, mas ao mesmo tempo é muito inspirador, porque é incrível ver a forma como eles fazem as coisas lá e estão sempre buscando melhorar e oferecer tudo de bom para o cidadão. Então, é fácil.
Exatamente. Inclusive, se a gente mencionar aqui como foi construído esse moinho eólico. Foi realmente incrível, surpreendente.
Sem dúvidas, mas essa foi a reação desse vídeo. Então, se você gostou, aproveita para se inscrever, ative as notificações e deixe mais sugestões para mais vídeos como esse lá no nosso Instagram.
Muito obrigado por assistir esse vídeo e a gente se vê na próxima reação.
Tchau!